Welcome back. Today in our Sunday Spotlight, September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. This morning, we're shining a light on the Bryan Dagle Foundation, which helps raise awareness about this difficult topic and supports people dealing with the loss. Joining me this morning is Dagle. She's the president and executive director of the Bryan Dagle Foundation. Thank you so much for being here, Ann. It is such an important topic. I think it's good that we're talking about it more, and I suspect you'll agree with me that this is a topic that maybe for a long time was taboo to even be on a segment like this. Tell us a little bit about your story, Bryan's story, and your foundation, and how you got here.
So we lost Bryan in 2011 to suicide. He was 19 years old. We really didn't know that he was struggling as much as he was. We knew he struggled with anxiety and depression. He went off to college. Things were really good. And he died in college as a sophomore. We didn't know. If I knew now the signs back then, maybe my journey would be different. So I just feel it's my job now. He is my reason why I do what I do with the foundation, with the work we do, and suicide prevention and grief work, to make a difference in the world. And you're right that we are talking about it more now. One of the silver linings in the pandemic is that mental health conversation is out there.
And a lot of people feeling more comfortable sharing things, maybe, which may be difficult to talk about, as I'm sure your story is, but then somebody else can take something from that. So I think there's probably two pieces we should talk about this morning. The signs, like you said, that maybe a parent, a loved one, a caregiver could watch for, but then also just this new number, this 988 number.
Yes.
Let's talk about that first. That's a big deal. Like 911, an immediate number, 3 digits, you just call it and you can get help.
It is a big deal, and we're so grateful that it's come forward. We worked a couple years to make that happen through federal legislation and our state legislation. So 988 helps erase the stigma, right? So you don't have to worry about calling 911 and getting the police when you need a mental health person to help you. So 988 is huge right now.
And I know you work on this stuff so much, but there's so much research out there that it's just that one split second of help that somebody often needs. And maybe that quick number, if it becomes ingrained like 911 that everybody knows and they know, geez, I just had that thought, I better dial this number, that could be a humongous difference.
A huge difference. It could save a life. And it doesn't have to be, people need to know, it doesn't have to be in a moment of crisis. They could have questions or concerns about a loved one, that they're acting differently, they're not behaving the way they used to. They can call that number and talk to somebody, and they can walk them through it.
And I know one of the big things that you want people to know is that there's so many people and so many families that are touched by this. I know your website talked about 46,000 lost, but 12.2 million Americans said they had thought about suicide. That's a humongous number, Ann.
It is. It's a crisis. It's a crisis.
And so what does that speak to the message that you and your foundation are bringing to people? Maybe a lot of people who don't know they need to hear it need to hear it.
They do. I think the message we want to bring is that mental health is no different than our physical health. We treat it the same. Just like we have a conversation, we have a headache, our body aches, something hurts, we talk about that. If we're not feeling right, talk about that too.
Now you said you knew that your son had anxiety and depression, but you say there are now signs you wish you knew about then that might have changed the trajectory, the path that you're on. What are some things, if you had something that you wanted to, maybe there's a parent watching this morning who says, you know, geez, I've worried about my child. What are some things, or where should they go to find out more?
So there's lots of trainings that can be done through the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, through all kinds of websites. One of the things that I realized was that Bryan wasn't sleeping. He changed his eating habits. So any type of change in a behavior from normal activity, I would consider that a sign. Like not sleeping, not eating well. People can become agitated, can become any differences in their personality that you really recognize.
And you mentioned that 988 number not just being for someone in crisis. That's something where a parent could pick up the phone and dial that number and say, hey, I noticed this, what do you think?
Absolutely, and they can point you in the right direction.
And what is you talked about the message of talking about it, but also maybe not talking about it on a grand scale, but maybe just a parent saying to a child, hey, I'm worried about you.
Absolutely, have that conversation. That's what's so important. A lot of our programs we try to do at the foundation is to start that conversation knowing that, just say, hey, you know, you seem to be off a little bit. Are you doing okay? And then dig a little deeper. Don't just accept, yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine. Just go a little bit deeper.
And maybe that, like you say, could save a life.
Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit about your foundation because it's so successful. I know you have a golf tournament coming up in a week. We can't plug it because it's already full, which is good news.
It is
People
good
helping
news.
you out. You have the Out of the Darkness Walk. Tell me about that.
So the Out of the Darkness Walk is with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It's our Connecticut chapter. We have nationwide, we have walks all over the country. Connecticut, we have 5 in particular. I'll plug in for my hometown in Niantic. It's the Southeastern Connecticut Out of the Darkness Walk, and that's on September 24th.
And we just had your website up on the screen.
Perfect.
People can go there and find out more about that.
Yes.
I know another big event for you coming up in December. I was lucky enough to be there with you last year, the Jingle Bell 5K.
Yes.
That's a big fundraiser for you as well, and I know it's a big thing in the community.
It's a huge thing in the community. It's a lot of fun. People, as you know, you were judging the costumes. People come in the costumes. Last year we had close to 900 people. Just celebrating life and lots of fun, but having that conversation. They're okay to have that conversation.
Well, we're just about out of time. I want to put up the number again so people see it. 988 is the new number that people can call. A big deal. We appreciate the work you're doing. Thank you for coming here and sharing this, and hopefully somebody got something out of it. Ann Daigle from the Bryan
you.
Dagle Foundation, thanks so much, and we'll see you at the 5K, hopefully.
Thank you.